What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Wingin IT podcast. Andre, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing nice, feeling good. I mean, yeah, I'm just doing good. I'm not going to go into the dramatics of this week.
Oh yeah, we're finna get in that in a little bit. Sandstorm, how you doing, man?
I'm doing pretty good now that I own full ownership of the internet at this point in time.
Okay, all right. If you haven't had a chance to, please check out my video from earlier this morning with Youngles and Vicky. We did a fresh take on Moon Knight episode 1, as well as Halo episodes 1 and 2, and a small little look at the spoiler-filled discussion of Spider-Man No Way Home. So please check that out. It does go a little long, and the audio version is up. So we're up on Google Podcasts as well as Spotify and Breaker. So and Anchor. So there is multiple ways for you to listen to it. So please give that a look out and everything like that. But the first thing on the docket for this evening is the Zelda delay. And while we're doing that, let me go and get that vid shared so we can go through it like we always love to do here. Because I ain't scared of no copyright strike. Yes, I am. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm lying. I'm so scared of that.
I mean, yeah, kind of got to be scared. You kind of got to be scared of it with me on the podcast, because half the time I say something Nintendo's going to do anyway.
Yeah, basically. Basically. So
including this.
It's only a minute and 30 seconds. So let's go and take a look.
こんにちは。ゼルダの伝説シリーズプロデューサーの青沼です。ゼルダの伝説ブレスオブザワイルド続編の発売時期に関してお知らせがあります。本作は2022年に発売を予定しているとお伝えしていましたが、開発にもう少しお時間をいただきたく、発売を2023年春に変更させていただきたいと思います。楽しみにお待ちいただいている皆様、大変申し訳ありません。続編の舞台は前作ブレスオブザワイルドでの地上フィールドだけでなく、空の上にも広がると前回お伝えしましたが、拡張された世界はそれだけではなく、そこで皆さんを待ち受ける新たな出会いや新たな遊びも前作以上に多彩なものとなっています。そうした続編での体験を特別なものにするべく、開発チーム一同引き続き総力を挙げて取り組んでいきますので、どうか今しばらくお待ちいただければと思います。今回のお知らせは以上となります。ありがとうございました。
Okay, so that's pretty much the vid, all right? Here's the thing. I understand why they did it. If you look at the release list, I understand why they did it. There are some people who are saying that this is getting pushed all the way back to the successor of the Switch. I don't think that is the case, because Nintendo has already said that the Switch is going to be around at least till 2024. This is coming out next year. You're not going to hold it that long. And to me, it's actually a smart idea, because you don't want to cannibalize your other games that's coming out. We were even saying it a couple weeks ago, like, where's this going to fit? If you got Pokemon, you got Bayonetta, you got all these other games dropping in the latter half of the year, in Q3 and Q4, where are you going to put it at? Because they pretty much have a release from June. They got a release in June. They got a release in July. They got a release in September that we know of. Bayonetta could release in either August or October, depending on what they want to do. To be fair, Pokemon is hitting in November. That's I don't see them not doing any other month, and that's the stuff we know about. Also, Advance Wars is probably gonna drop somewhere this summer, depending on the world situation, summer or fall. So, look, I understand why they pushing it out now. I trust Al Numa's team because look at the track record.
Right.
Just look at the track record. So he's probably actually putting some crazy stuff in if you're giving him this much time. What's that old saying?
I
Give
hope
me
so.
6 months, I'm good. Give me a year, I'm great.
Yeah.
You give it this man 2-3 years, oh dude. So Sandstorm, start with you. What about you? What you think?
Man, I think this is probably a smart idea. We've like you said, we've just got way too many games that's lined up. Coming in early, I feel like springtime just to even get off an anniversary for the original Breath of the Wild. I think that works. Um I and I'm okay with it. You know what I'm saying? My pockets was tight anyway. They was looking a little skinny in my skinny jeans, you know what I mean? So just the fact that we got it pushed back, probably the game that most of us would probably say one of the most anticipated games for the Switch after Breath of the Wild came out. That's okay. Wait as long as you want to. Like you said, I don't know. He's a craft master at Zelda. So take as long as you need. If you need to drop it next year, that's fine. If it needs to be the year after, I know a lot of people would be mad, but me personally, I know how the mail works. If you need another year to make it excellent, that's fine with me. Take as much time as you need to get it as 100 as possible.
Okay, Andre.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good idea. Again, stacked year on top of the fact that they were coming off of a really strong Zelda game anyhow with Breath of the Wild. So yeah, give them some time. People are still finding new stuff to do in the first game. You got time to give the second one, to put the second one out there. And if anybody has any wavering confidence in this man's team, this is the same team that followed up Ocarina of Time in less than a year with Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
So that's something to consider.
All right.
Like he knows what he's
Majora's
freaking doing.
the GOAT. I don't want to hear
Look,
it, Jay.
I say it and Trinell puts it in the chat.
Yeah. But I was like, yeah, dude. And Majora's Mask was him. Majora's Mask was him with 6 months.
Yep.
You giving this man years. Now the thing is, here's what I'm looking forward to. Because in past interviews, there were sections that he had to drop out of Wind Waker that he wanted to put in because of time restraints. There were sections he had to drop out of Twilight Princess because of time restraints. Because he's always talked about actually having Zelda playable. It's just working within the limits of your architecture, of your hardware and your architecture, and time, because you have to get stuff out. He just always had to cut it, because there's a whole section that was supposed to be dedicated to Sheik in Twilight Princess. There was a whole section dedicated to Zelda and Zelda/Tetra in Wind Waker. They had to cut. So you give this man this much time, he's gonna find a way to pull this off and make it seamless, which is what I'm thinking is happening at this point. Because remember, this was supposed to just be an expansion. I think people forget that. This was supposed to be the expansion. This is not an expansion anymore.
Right.
This is not an expansion anymore. Trinell, I would agree with that, but it depends on which Zelda you're talking about.
Yeah.
Every Zelda is not a warrior. And people need to understand it. There's
version.
nothing wrong with that, because strength comes in different, it can express itself in different forms. And like, for instance, like Tetra, I would love to have played a spinoff with Tetra.
Yeah, Tetra is my favorite Zelda.
You see what I'm saying? Like that, you can do it with her, but this Zelda for Breath of the Wild, She is more of a scholar. She is not a fighter. I don't care what anybody says about Hyrule Warriors, Age of Calamity. She is not a fighter. That's the whole point of Breath of the Wild. They tell you she's not a fighter.
Yeah.
So yes, it depends. I agree she should get her own game, but it should be with a Zelda that does fight, like Zelda, like Tetra or Twilight Princess Zelda. Twilight Princess Zelda was a fighter.
Yeah,
But she was also smart enough to know that if I go at this dude head up, I need to play the decoy and the bait. I need to play bait. Because she could beat Zant. Zant wasn't the problem.
She would have murdered Zant.
Yeah,
that's why he walked in, making sure he let her know. Look, something happens to me. All them people,
they did. Yeah.
Just let you know.
Because she would have took him.
But I'll give Zant credit for that, being smart enough to be like, hold on, I ain't walking in there. Or he's like, I'm not walking in there without a backup plan.
Yeah, this ain't gonna end well for me if I do.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
He was smart enough.
Yeah, I don't mind Zelda getting her own game. I'm just saying people need to go in lore wise. You need to, like, if they make a Zelda game, it needs to be based on one of the Zeldas that is an actual fighter, or unless you're doing like a puzzle game or something like that.
I was just about to say they could use the Breath of the Wild Zelda for like an archaeologist type.
Yeah.
Like somewhat like Tomb Raider, just without the fighting.
Just without the fighting, yeah. Because that's not what she's supposed. That's not what this incarnation is supposed to be. So yeah, but I agree. I would love to play a Zelda spin-off game. I remember when we first played Hyrule Warriors, the first one. I'm like, when can I give her own game? Give Queen Zelda her own game, because in the Japanese version, she's already ascended to the throne as queen. She's not princess. I don't know why they didn't bring that over in the American version. I hate when they do that.
Because familiarity.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, she's actually Queen Zelda, so she's already ascended the throne. So I'm like, if you want to do a spin-off game with that Zelda, bruh, I'm all for it. The action RPG, I'm down. Nintendo, y'all know y'all got platinum on speed now.
You got that Zelda and her trusty ninja Impa there. I mean, might as well.
Like I said, that would be a dope. That's something that I would love to see, like Platinum do a straight up action game with them two in it, because they already know how to do gigantic bosses. They already know how to do. Just let the kings of action do it. Just let them do it. But yeah, as far as this Breath of the Wild 2, though, I think it's actually a good thing, and I think what we're gonna get, we'll probably actually be able to put in that multiplayer or divergent path that he's been wanting to put in for years, and get it to actually work properly. So yeah, Al Numa, he can take as much time as he needs. Now, as far as like, is it going to get delayed further from 2023? I don't think so, because I don't see Nintendo
I don't think so
doing
either.
that. I just don't see them doing that at this point.
It's gonna have to come out.
You go ahead.
I feel like at this point, they already have something set up for next year, for their holiday title. So I feel like having Breath of the Wild be pushed back again.
I don't think that's gonna happen.
Nah, I don't think so.
But yeah, if you drop it in March on the anniversary, that could work.
Yeah.
And on that note, as the title of this video is so delicately put it, E3 has officially been canceled this year. E3 has officially been canceled. There will be no digital version or in-person version, which to me is okay. It ain't a bad thing, because last year when they did it anyway, they did not have a plan, and it was evident that they didn't have a plan, because stuff was just, people weren't coming in on time, videos weren't coming out, and you're like, okay, hold on. If y'all already had the stuff planned out, why can't anybody come on time? And why in the world is IGN dropping stuff they ain't had no business dropping?
Because IGN is ignorant.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, I'm like, it's not a bad thing, especially since they did confirm that it will be back next year. I just think it's one of those situations they probably did need a year to actually put together a plan because apparently they need to and get this all mapped out. So because this year they clearly did not have a plan to get it mapped out. Now, what does that mean? I think Nintendo is still going to drop a direct in June because they're going to drop something for the second half of the year.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just don't know if we're going to get actual Treehouse Lives. That's the part
Right.
I'm gonna be missing. I don't think we're gonna get
No,
that.
I could see them still doing it. They might just focus on the heavy hitters though.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Like I feel like they can almost spin this into a even bigger deal for them instead of it being just like the Nintendo Direct. This could be the Nintendo Direct Nintendo Land edition or Nintendo Direct Treehouse edition. So you get your normal E3 what would be like the E3 Direct, and then after that they can play and talk about the games that they really want to talk about and play and stuff like that. So it would be like a regular direct, but then you get like a whole hour's worth of or 2 hours, and they can
Of
do
additional.
whatever. Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Trinell, the thing is, they should have been giving Nintendo props for that,
Mhm.
but they're not gonna do it, especially over here. I know they're not gonna do it over here in the West. They're just not gonna do it.
Mhm.
They're just not. They're not gonna give them props for
Nah.
that.
Nah. It'll get spun.
Yeah, because we all know the reason why they did it, because Western publications kept mis they kept misquoting them, mistranslating them, and they just got tired of it. And then Waddle was like, okay, fine, we'll just do the narrative ourselves.
Right.
And when they did it, because if you remember when they did it, it was all, oh, they're going third party. How can you be a big game company? You don't utilize E3.
Mhm.
And now some of those same people are saying E3 is irrelevant. Wait a minute, what? E3 is irrelevant? I
Right.
thought everybody needed E3. Dark Void, you're absolutely right. When
Right.
Sony, they gave Sony props for leaving E3.
That's the thing right there, because when they decided to do it, it was bad for Nintendo. We've seen this time and time again. And then now they won't say, well, Nintendo started this trend that virtually has more longevity, and thanks to them there's still a way for us to get that. Instead it'll be like, well, Sony jumped ship, and because of that and them continuously not showing up, E3 has been dead. So that's why it's not as important or serious, because Sony always wins, baby. Sony always wins.
Yeah, which to me is crazy. Hi, Vicky. It's crazy. It's one of those situations where I'm just like, okay, like they did it, and now everybody's copying off of them. Now I can understand why Microsoft can still do it because they actually own their own theater.
Mm-hmm.
So Sony and Nintendo don't. They have to come in and rent out halls and all that stuff, and that costs money.
Yep.
So Microsoft don't have to do anything that costs them money because it's their building that they're shooting from.
Yeah.
It's in LA, but it's their building.
Yep.
Like they don't shoot at E3; they shoot it at the Microsoft Theater.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think we already had we kind of discussed this behind scenes before, wondering how this was really going to play out as far as the whole E3 thing goes. Basically I was saying, Nintendo, obviously they're going to have their directs. Nintendo does what they do best. I still think there'll be a direct there for Nintendo, and possibly a treehouse. Yeah, possibly a treehouse.
Yeah.
Sony, while they don't, their version of their direct is not as big or as prevalent, they still have a way to do it with the state of play. They didn't do that last year, but it's still an option. Will they do it? Who knows? Because Like they didn't do it last year, so why would they do it
Don't
this
they
year?
have that PlayStation event though that they used to do like at the end of the year?
They do, but like, you know, I see more so them jumping on, like if Jeff Keighley had something, them jumping on that and being like, we're showing off our games that we would show off at E3 for Jeff Keighley because he's in the bed with our main guy now. So, but
Yeah.
whatever. The only people that don't actually have a direct or a digital type of event would be Microsoft. But like you said, Jay, they have their own stadium. Like that doesn't cost them anything.
Yeah.
So even if E3 wasn't around, they could still be like, everybody come in here. We're having a vacation. We're having a field day. Nobody's in the workspace. Y'all all gonna sit down. Y'all gonna watch this presentation. Y'all gonna get loud like y'all usually do. We're gonna show off these games and we're gonna put it on the Microsoft YouTube channel and we're gonna call it good. Like that's so it's really not hurting any of the big three per
It's
se
third
because
party.
because they got our own thing. It's the third parties that's really going not a benefit, like the EAs who didn't do so well. Square Enix, I don't know why y'all were there in the first place, because the last 2 years y'all just been just throwing up, just showing up, just raising your hand, but not really giving out any answers. So it's gonna be the big three it's gonna be the third parties that's really, and I think if they really want to do something, get in where you fit in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You better call up Sony or Microsoft or Nintendo, heaven forbid, either say I'm sorry or something like that, and be like, "Yo, can I get in your lineup somewhere? I got a game. Can I get in the lineup
And I think
somewhere?"
Nintendo will do it for Treehouse. They'll do it for Treehouse because they don't have a problem doing that.
Oh yeah.
And here's the thing. Now, here's the biggest asshole moment is Jeff Keighley. So he puts out a tweet. Basically, he tried to say that he wasn't applauding E3 being canceled. Yes, you were, dude. Yes, you were. Just stop the cap. Yes, you were. So, because he promotes his Summer of Games. Now, his Summer of Games ain't good either. Like it ain't like props for you for doing something different, Jeff. Since props to you. But don't sit there and pretend like you got the best thing either. You clearly don't. So you may want to rein it in a little bit.
Biggest problem with Summer,
just a little bit.
I was gonna say the biggest problem with Summer Games last year too is that it ran at the same time as E3.
Yeah.
So you were seeing the same stuff twice.
Yep.
And most of that
getting
stuff,
anything different.
Yeah, and most of the time when you sit there looking at it, you're like, dude, you can't turn around and say that you support E3 and you don't want them to go anywhere when you're directly trying to be in competition with them.
Yep.
Directly. You didn't put Summer Games in July. You did it in June. Once again, it's not like it's the best thing ever. So, bruh, bring it down a little bit, bruh.
Yeah, I can almost see him like going around in like a back hallway and being like, "Yes, I finally freaking got him." Yes.
Like, nah, dude, you ain't got nothing.
Not non-dancing and everything. I got him. I got him.
Or he thinking he cool and smooth, he in a robe with a cigar, sitting down with what he thinks is a glass of whiskey, but it ain't.
Yeah. He's smoking a big stogie and coughs out.
I'm like, dude, he really is like the biggest.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna say it.
Yeah, he is. Yeah,
he is. Like, dude, that wasn't the time. There's a time and place for everything, and that wasn't it. And you ain't cool enough to pull that stuff off to where people say, "Yeah, that was funny." You ain't cool enough to do that.
Nah,
you're not.
Nah.
Do we have to go get Joseph?
Hey, Wilton, you're funny too.
Every year.
Wilton says Summer Kojima Fest.
Kojima Fest,
basically. Death Stranding.
Right.
Yeah, so Trinell, don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to yourself.
Don't look if you didn't hear about it, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
There's
Trust
a
me.
reason why you didn't hear about it.
Your
Yeah.
mental health will be better for it.
Yeah. I mean, please don't do that to yourself.
Just don't. Just don't.
Yeah. So as far as the E3 thing, I get it. Especially if you're going to revamp. If you're going to revamp and retool it, yeah, take a year off.
Mm-hmm.
Take a year off.
Mm-hmm.
Get all your ducks in a row. Take a year off. Because for me personally, I think the best thing they can do, in all honesty, is to say, okay, let's have our plan B is for digital. We'll have our physical in-person event, but let's get everything we get in touch with everybody. Make sure that, hey, look, if you sign up for it, you're here. You don't
Right.
get to back out.
Right.
You know, especially if it's like we'll give you a chance to back out at the 6 to 8 month mark.
Mm-hmm.
After that, if you back out,
You're in.
you're gonna get fined or something.
You're in.
Yeah,
Yep.
you're in. You're locked in if you're gonna be on site. Especially if you're gonna be on site, you're locked in. Because we need to know who's gonna be here. We need to get your time and all that other stuff. And then like have a backup plan for a digital if in case something happens where a pandemic or something happens or something else nerve-wracking happens and you still need to honor your contracts. You have a digital backup.
Yep.
Something else I think that needs to happen. I think we talked about this before. I don't think it was live. We might have been talking backstage about it. Is I think that E3, because it's not accessible to the vast majority of us that don't live in California, they need to have an area where we can be able to demo some of these games like that. Like if the E3 officiators or whoever needs to be like, okay, hey, I need you to pick like 3 games from you, 3 games from you, whatever. Like, and we need to have these available from Monday to Friday or something like that. Whatever, however long E3 is, for other people who can't join in to be able to test it. I mean, that would be huge. That would be something huge. And it shouldn't really cost that much, but it definitely brings out the, what's the word that I'm looking for? Not the branding, but it brings out the word of mouth for those games. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Even if it's something as little as, you know, you're not being actually able to demo the game, but you can see the trailer and the full like scope of the game, you know what I mean? 4K or what have you. So I think that would probably be the best way to at least to blow it up from that point.
No, I agree with that. Honestly, because I've been like, I think we did talk about it on the show like a couple months ago. It might have been a couple months back because I think I vaguely remember us saying something about it. Because again, there's not going to be a whole lot of people that can go if they do a physical event,
Right.
and if they take from the stuff that Nintendo did with Mario Kart and with Smash, you get the third party companies to talk to all the hardware manufacturers and all the digital platforms and say, okay, we're going to give you these 3 games for your platforms to demo for about a week. So the people
Right.
that are just joining in watching E3, okay, you get a week to play this demo for these specific games. And that way and then you could also have people give feedback on the games so that they know what their audiences are looking for.
Exactly.
Be a big boost for them.
Because that's like one thing. Like it costs so much to even go to E3, dude. Like, and I was one of those people who always at least like wanted to go once, but just for them to be able to get on that exclusivity was cool at first before the digital age. Like that's what made it like explode. But now that we're in a digital age, that's kind of what is kind of keeping them out of touch, is that they're not touching all the people that are watching this besides showing them videos of the actual shows. And we all know that's that 4K rendering is not being rendered to us in full 4K. So
Nope.
we're
Yeah.
seeing it at less. So
Well,
you
and
know.
some of that stuff, like you guys said, like if they're gonna do demos, they got to make sure those games work. And let's be real, most of those games ain't working.
Mhm.
when they're
And-
at E3.
and you
They're hype videos.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can at least be slick and be like, you know, you might not get the game, but like, here's the trailer that you saw. But if you're watching it on the native platform that it was on, at least you're getting a higher fidelity than what you saw when you was watching it through a stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So you can
that's
see
true.
see the whole thing.
That's
Something, something. Give us something.
Which, once again, in my opinion, if they're smart, that's what they're doing.
Hmm.
If they're smart, I mean, because that's the only thing that actually makes sense at this point. I mean, you're giving yourself a year, so take advantage of the fact that you're giving yourself a year, and that should take care of all of that. But we'll find out. We will find out. I know Tokyo Game Show is still doing theirs. I know TGS is still going on.
That's good.
I think Paris Games is still going. I don't know. I need to look. I think Paris Games is still, but I think Paris Games is in July this year.
I was gonna say, isn't Tokyo in fall?
Tokyo's
Yeah,
usually in the fall,
Tokyo's-
usually right after the anime one. It's an anime one that happens, and then TGS happens usually right after it. So it usually happens between August and October, because they usually jump months. Because I don't know why they do it like that, but usually once the anime one is done, like within a week or a week after that, usually TGS happens.
Okay.
Usually. So, and from my understanding, they haven't canceled TGS yet. Because I think what did they do last year? Last year they just did a full on digital thing, but theirs actually made sense.
They
Yeah,
have plans.
I hope they don't cancel that.
Yeah.
So what was the real reason for this year? Because I feel like that's almost
well. At first, it was because California law was basically like you can't convene in large areas because of the pandemic. But then they got peeled back a little bit. But I think they just don't have a plan.
Oh,
Yeah.
They just really don't have a plan.
Wow, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but they just don't have a plan.
Yeah.
And I get it, but at the same time, you knew this was going to happen, so you should have had a backup plan.
Somebody should have been working on this the day after E3 was done last year.
Yeah,
like somebody should have been all over that.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, that's what somebody, if somebody with an actual leadership skill would have done that. They would have been like, when they would have saw how it went last year with no direction, they would have been like, okay, look, this can't happen again.
Right.
So we're gonna get a team together. We're gonna map this out, and we're gonna have a backup plan to make this work.
It almost makes me wonder who are these people?
Yeah.
Like how did that
it shouldn't have happened like that.
Yeah. Like we'll just worry
happen.
about this on January 1st. Like everybody take some time off.
Yeah.
We'll worry about it on January 1st.
And to me, that's piss poor planning.
Yeah.
Like you can't do that. Like this, no, you just can't do that. So we'll see. The real question Ray asked, the real question we should be asking is if Metroid Prime going to make an appearance. Yeah.
I think
that was going to happen to E3.
I think it still will. Like there's no doubt in my mind that Nintendo still dropped something in January. Now, will it be the time that they were going to do E3? Who knows? But like, I feel like they're still going to have something big because that's like that's almost traditional for them, along with gaming. Period. So, and Nintendo's about their traditions.
Yeah, one big blowout surprise that we either didn't see coming or forgot about. Because remember how everybody was complaining about Bayonetta and like not seeing anything for Bayonetta 3, and they're like, okay, fine.
Then they just dropped something.
September happens.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all thought y'all said the game was canceled, right?
That was in the same year, wasn't it?
Yeah, because Sony does their state of play. It was last year. Sony does their state of play, and they showed that game. What Eve? I think it was. And everybody was talking about, oh yeah, this is a real Bayonetta game, and then
Bayonetta drops. Then you see Bayonetta,
and they got me with that trailer because I thought it was Astral Chain 2.
Yeah, it was at the tail end of everything. Man, it's a guarantee that somebody was like, you know what, slide this in here. We wasn't even gonna put this in this year. Slide it in there, damn it. Slide it in there.
So, Yeah, I think they are going to show Metroid Prime 4, especially since Dread did so well. I think they are
Yeah.
going to show it. I think they're going to finally show it.
Yeah.
They're going to show what they've been doing.
Yeah, they're going to show exactly what they've been working on. 'Cause that is the game that I actually think is going to be their cross generational game. It's going
Yeah.
to be Metroid Prime 4. I think that's going to be on the Switch and on what's coming next. It's not going to be Zelda. It's going to be that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that makes sense because I want to see what Retro is doing, and if hopefully, do y'all think they wouldn't do that? They wouldn't do that. They wouldn't make Metroid open world, would they?
I mean,
they could.
It's not out of the realms to say they wouldn't, especially since everybody's been getting the open world treatment. I mean,
they do have Monolith on. They do have Monolith pretty much theirs.
right.
I mean, honestly, I could see him going ahead and doing it and actually doing what No Man's Sky was supposed to do.
Got him.
I mean, because you don't have to, but see, you don't have to do the whole. Because they even in Corruption, they let you jump to other planets, so you don't have to do like a whole galaxy. You can just
no, but I'm talking about like actually like the whole planet itself is fully explorable.
Okay.
Because that was what was supposed to happen with No Man's Sky, but that never actually happened.
Yeah, that didn't go down like that. I still don't. That game was just. That game got hyped for me, and I was like, "Why are people hyped?"
Right.
When the first
up until the day it released, nobody knew what it was about.
Yeah, nobody knew what it was about. So
and showed up every year.
With the same footage.
The same footage.
It looks so much better than last time. Like, this is the same stuff from last time. What you mean?
Yeah. So, hey man, get it how you fit in, I guess. But yeah, E3 being what it is, it did need some kind of overhaul. So taking a year off, fine.
Yep.
Just please have a plan and please have a team in place that actually has an idea of what they want to do.
The only thing I will say to that, because there is a caveat to that, is that if you're going to take a year off and you're going to try again next year, the first thing that you need to do is get with the big three. Like, you need to get with them heavy and be like, hey, listen, like, if y'all are doing something in this June, like, awesome, that's what's up. That keeps to the legacy and everything. But like next year, like, we need y'all to come, because like if one, heaven forbid that all three of those companies do something and it actually moves something in some sort of way, do you think any three of them are going to come back to E3? Probably not. Yeah. It's not going to be a thing. So like, you need to try and get that reassurance ahead of time. Like, please come back. Like, we need y'all to come back so we can turn this back into a convention. These are our ideas. This is what we're trying to do. Like, we need to try and get y'all on board, because even if 2 out of 3, I'll even say, even if Sony and Microsoft, or Nintendo and Microsoft, or Nintendo and Sony end up doing good for this like next little section for this year, I don't know. I don't know.
And Nintendo's been doing this on their own, so they kind of like, look, we already got our path set. So, like I said, Microsoft don't need to do nothing because Microsoft owns their own building, so they don't. When you see Microsoft at E3, they're not at E3.
Right.
They're at the Microsoft Theater.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, it's one of those situations but how do you bring them back? I mean, it starts with gaming journalism. They're gonna have to offer them a discount, and game journalism, they're gonna have to be honest. Like, you can't misquote them, you can't mistranslate them. You can't mistranslate them and try to get one up on each other. You can't do that, because that's how you broke that trust in the first place with Nintendo.
Yeah, you remember when they had one-on-ones with? I remember them having one-on-ones with Nintendo all the time, and everything always got mistranslated. Where they would show off a game, whether it was G4 or like, and they would just, oh man, they would just mess the game up. Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's why they did. That's why I'm like, I don't blame Nintendo at one bit for
Mhm.
doing what they did. I don't, because how much more can you take?
Right. Right.
Especially when you're like, okay, well, we can do it ourselves and get it out, and people will understand it better. At first, of course, you had the people getting mad and being like, "Oh, this is horrible. This is never going to work. They need to go third party." And then the next year, they're like, "Hey, man, when the new direct coming?"
Right.
Wait a minute, I thought,
every 2 weeks.
yeah, it was when the new direct, man. We need another direct. Like, dude, we just had one.
Right.
Like, we
Like,
just
what
had
are
a
you
direct
talking
like
about?
3 days ago. What you?
That one was okay. That one was decent. It wasn't good enough. We need another
Yeah.
one.
So, and then you had people sit up saying that it was E3. I'm like, no,
No, those
no.
are not. They're not E3.
No, they're just their announcements. They're giving you their announcements their way. That's not what that is. Now, I
They
will
just
say I
happen to
did
have
like
good
the fact that,
announcements.
yeah, I did like the fact that Iwata was basically doing like the game only ones, like when you had the Bayonetta one and you had the which one? It was Bayonetta. They had the Wonderful 101 one. They had the Xenoblade Chronicles X one, where it was just them talking about the whole 30 or 40 minutes. I love those. I kind of
Those
wish
were
those would
amazing.
kind of come back
Yeah.
as well. But because look, the only time they really do Treehouse Live is at E3. So I would really like it if at some point they start back doing those like ones for third party. Like, hey, here's your 40 minutes. Talk about your game while they do plays of whatever. That way people can see it and make a decision.
Dark Void, yes. That was like the final straw at that point.
Yeah.
The misconstruing of the Wii U and how much they twisted the narrative on that one. That was like the last straw for them.
Yeah, because it
And
had been happening before the Wii U,
yeah.
but
Matter of
that
fact,
was
because it
when
happened
it
with the
got worse.
GameCube, it happened with the GameCube, it happened with the DS. It had Wii U was trying to broke the camel's back because Iwata was nice, but Iwata was also a cutthroat. I just didn't realize how reading that book of his that they did, man, dude, Iwata was a straight up nice cutthroat.
That's where the line, please understand. There's secrets behind that
Yeah,
line. Please understand.
like bruh, because he basically killed their money with a smile on his face. I thought Yamamuchi was.
They
Y'all know how he was.
both cutthroats. They're just two different styles of cutthroat.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the whole reason why Yamamuchi Iwata was the first the first president not in that family
Not
or
in that
not
family. Yeah.
married to be hired as president.
Yeah, he's handpicked.
Yeah.
Yamamuchi.
And,
He
Yeah, I was
looked
gonna
at it,
say,
he's like,
and Yamamuchi handpicked him.
he looked at it, it's like, oh, I see. Okay, you might not be as direct as I am, but you will still get results. That was what that was.
Yeah, I mean, well, Wilson, the reason why they do that is because they feel bad because a lot of people, especially during the Wii U days,
We're
was
talking
pretty
mad
much
They gave that
wanting
man so
him
much
X'd
hell.
out the game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, some of them people takes was like just bad.
Yeah.
And when he actually got sick and people found out about it, that's when all that, backtracking and videos started mysteriously deleting themselves.
And
And
Wada's
then when he
such a great
passed,
man. He was so great. Yeah.
yeah. Because like a lot of stuff, like I've been saying, like a lot of stuff that Phil Spencer's been saying, Iwata said it first, like over a decade ago. And people said he was crazy for saying that he shouldn't be president of Nintendo. I'm like, the man was a developer. He loves video games. He's telling you this mess ain't gonna work the way you think it is, and because he's saying something that you don't like, that you don't want to hear, it's bad. I'm like, okay, whatever.
That's the thing too, because it wasn't PR talk. That's the big difference is that Yamamuchi wasn't actually in it like that. Like he was an actual game developer, so he could say whatever he wanted to. But when you get somebody who actually knows the development cycle and how these things work, like Iwata, like he was speaking true. And mind you, Phil Spencer he's not a game developer either.
Yeah.
But but he actually takes the time to be in it, so he understands it. So now the fact that he's saying that is just like, oh, we got to take Phil's word. But I know why that is because Phil changed the whole Microsoft brand around. That's why y'all love him so much. That's what happened.
Yeah, he did, and for good reason, because they really did need it. Because
Yes.
let's be real, they needed that at the Matrix. They needed that. But yeah. So one thing I did want to talk about today, and I'm kind of glad we still got enough time to talk about it.
Oh
We
man,
don't
I
spend
was
enough
ready.
time talking about music, man.
Music and gaming.
Music, and once again,
Scores.
I have to give you props, Sandstorm, for this whole "I Got Mine" thing, because Xenoblade Chronicles X.
It hits
Sometimes,
right.
sometimes the music don't match what's going on, but most times it's right.
Yeah, it hits when you get out into that field, that Primordia, and it just hits. You just look around, you just like, wow.
Yeah. So I wanted to spend a little time talking about game soundtracks, because just like movies, game soundtracks can actually enhance the experience a lot. I mean, like one of my favorite game soundtracks, one of my favorite game composers, honestly, is Koji Kondo. If you don't know who he is, that's
Easily.
Nintendo's. He does most of the stuff for Nintendo. Every theme that you know of, from the Mario theme, that's him. So Ocarina of Time is probably one of my favorite game soundtracks, period. From the Gerudo theme to the Zora theme to the Forest theme, like they had some good music in there.
All the music in that game is atmospheric.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
All of
atmospheric. Straight
So
atmospheric.
Koji Kondo, mad props for me. Another one, and I hope I'm saying his name right. From Square Enix, Nobuo Uematsu.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yes,
I know
yes,
you're
yes.
talking about. I think that's
Yeah.
how you say his name.
I think
Yeah,
that's how you
doing
say
the
it. If
Final
I butchered his
Fantasy
name,
works.
I apologize. I'm from Georgia. So, but yeah, he's another one that I actually love his stuff. Like, look, Final Fantasy has varying degrees of popularity to me, but his soundtracks are dope.
Yeah,
And
that man.
everybody knows that theme, the Sephiroth theme,
Bum bum
yeah,
bum.
with a straight up choir singing in the background.
Always, every look. I'll give them one thing: if the games don't hit right, at least the soundtrack do.
Yeah.
At least the soundtrack do.
Yep.
Like it's like Square Enix, Capcom is the same way. If the gameplay may not be great, but the soundtrack will hit.
Yep.
It will hit,
Yep.
and you will enjoy it.
Yeah. So I want to get you guys' thoughts on some of y'all favorite soundtracks. So Sandstorm, let's start with you.
Man, I was hoping you wouldn't start with me because I'm about to spaz out. So I want to give because I'm a producer, so music kind of hits a little bit different with me. One thing that I have to give major props out to, and this is something that doesn't really happen anymore, especially in gaming, just because everything is so atmospheric, you get kind of different tones and different sounds to different things. Is the producers back in the 90s, well, mostly in the 90s, you would get these whole video game soundtracks where they had to literally take one idea and had to change it 7, 8, 9 different times to make different songs, but off of that same song. And two of mine that really come to mind is Sonic 3D Blast, which like from what is it, Sunrise Paradise or something like that, all the way to the end of the game, all those songs are literally the same, just mixed into different things, whether it's the fire theme, the ice theme, the stadium theme, the electronic theme. Like that takes pure genius. And the other one is a little bit more recently, but not so recent, is Donkey Kong 64. I know Jack loves that game for what it is. I love that game for the soundtrack. Like that, they literally have like Rare at that time literally had like a certain melody for like the theme of that song was like do 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 do, and that literally plays through every single version of every level, whether it's like you're in the cave or you're outside the cave or you're fighting a boss or you're fighting an enemy. Like it's and to be able to do that as a producer, like that's hard because you know when you have a song in your head, like that song sticks, like it doesn't really break from anything else. So that's a good one. I know people hate Quest 64. I love the Quest
That game
64
had great
music.
music. That game
It
had
has great music. Yeah, even though they didn't really use because the 64 doesn't have a sound card, I believe, right? Like it doesn't actually have so they had to do like a weird way to actually get the sound to work. It's very it's hard to explain. Like you can hear the beeps and each of the sounds that they're supposed to be using for that. Absolutely love that. Like Jay said, Ocarina of Time, which goes with Majora's Mask for me. Both of those are absolutely amazing. Koji Kondo is the GOAT when it comes to music and video games. I'm sorry, bar none. He is the best.
And one thing too, because remember the Game Awards in 2014 or 15 when he came on stage and actually played with Imagine Dragons?
Yeah.
Bruh.
That man is, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like that man is absolutely hey, yo, Dark Void. I was just about to say that the Katana Zero, the one joint that you go into the club, like that sets me off every time. Every time I play that character, and I just let him stop so I can let him boogie. Like that's it right there. You know what I'm saying?
Because
Like
you're sneaking around the guard.
Yeah, I love that. That is amazing. There's so many games out there. Xenoblade Chronicles X. Like I just got that whole list. Nocturne. Is that what it's called? Nocturne. Noctilum. Yeah. Just like just the singing. Like if a game can make you sing or hum the song even outside of playing that game, you know it's a good soundtrack.
Yeah,
so that's all I gotta say.
You.
Like, there's so many out there that are really, really good. I'll even say Streets of Rage 2. I was just playing that with Baby Sandstorm earlier, and I'm humming all the songs and like logically
it's easy to get caught up in those songs, especially the first stage. Once you get into the rhythm of beating people up, you just humming the tune along with it.
Like just the music and especially old school games because they all have the 8-bit sound. So it
makes it sound different and it makes it actually work. So
shout outs to Balrog's theme song from Street Fighter 2. That's absolutely amazing. Man. That's probably
which
my
version
favorite.
of it though.
There's more than one version. Are you talking about between Sega and Super Nintendo?
No, I'm talking about the different versions of Street Fighter 2. You got Street Fighter 2, then Street Fighter 2 Turbo, then you got Super Street Fighter 2,
the new challengers,
Turbo HD Remix.
Okay, we're gonna stick to the old school one.
Now, y'all did bring up one that I forgot about. Gauntlet Legends had a great soundtrack too.
Ooh,
it had a great soundtrack. But since Shadow Fox isn't here, I know he would say Killer Instinct. So
and
Grant Kirkhope. Yeah, because Grant Kirkhope was over at Rare. That's who did all the Rare stuff. That run from like what was it, 93 to like 90 to 2001, I think it was. That was pretty much all his stuff. I think that was all his stuff. But Andre, what about you, man? You got any favorites?
Oh, I got a lot, but I'll narrow it down. One, because it's the gameplay of it just appeared on my channel a little while ago, and that's Ogre Battle 64. That has an awesome soundtrack to it.
Yes.
Another of my favorites is the original Donkey Kong Country, especially the water area.
Oh my gosh! Thank you.
It just stays in your mind.
Best
Like you hear
one.
you hear it, and it just stays with you like for the
Best
day.
one.
None of the other tracks matter once you hear that one. Going back to Streets of Rage 2, awesome soundtrack. The original Streets of Rage had a great soundtrack. 3, not so much. um, Final Fight. Actually, almost all the beat 'em ups back then had really good soundtracks. I'm not even gonna lie, because like I say, Final Fight, Ravel Turf, Nice and Around, Dungeons and Dragons. Shoot, you can go back to like Ghouls and Ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins.
Oh,
There's too many games to name. Sonic
yes.
3 and Knuckles was one of the best soundtracks for the Sega Genesis. Echo the Dolphin had a really good soundtrack.
Yo, yes.
There's just so much stuff. I could even go back to Jewel Master having an awesome soundtrack to it.
I was gonna
Like
say
back
most of the 90s and like early 80s, pure gold.
Yeah. They were all
I give
great.
you that because I know I used to love the TMNT arcade
They all
soundtrack.
good soundtracks. But there is one I want to point out because somebody had, I think it was Dark Boy, had said something about Symphony of the Night having a good soundtrack. If you want the better version of that soundtrack, the Japanese one, Nocturne in the Moonlight, that is the better version of that soundtrack.
Oh, so that was okay because
That's
somebody
the Sega
put up,
Saturn one.
yeah, somebody put up a few years back that soundtrack, and I'm like, I never heard it, but that was a Japanese soundtrack.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's all of the
I
same
thought they had the
songs.
wrong soundtrack. I'm like, that's not the sound. Or I thought that maybe they had because you know sometimes they would sell back in the 90s they would sell the actual soundtrack that was made in the studio and not that wasn't from the actual game.
Yeah,
So they had to change it a little bit.
Yeah,
So,
but Nocturne in the Moonlight, that one was actually all those tracks are on that version of that game. All of them are on there because there's the underground garden theme that's in there. There's a third version of Bloody Tears that's for a specific special boss for that game. Then there's the Haunted Corridor, which is in there. It's not in the PlayStation game. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's not in the original that ended up in that one that are so much better. And Maria's version of it's not Bloody Tears, I think it's Wicked Child. They have a lot of because they have so many remixed versions of songs in there. But then the one for it's not the Catacombs. The one for the arena area, I can't remember the name of it. It's not called the Catacombs, but you know the one where it looks like the skeletons are dancing to the beat of the song.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Yeah, I know that one.
Well, you get in there, you just watch them standing there, but they move into the rhythm of the song with they stores. I'm like, they dancing.
Can I just say that like Bloody Tears is probably one of my favorite tracks ever, and I love the fact that like in the Castlevania anime they put it in there the proper way.
Yes,
every time they put it in, because they put it in all seasons of the Castlevania anime. It shows up at least once in all seasons. I'm like, thank you, which makes me think that when they do because the next version is supposed to be on Richter and Maria, are they going to put Wicked Child in there?
They're going to, because
Bloody
Wicked Child
Tears
is Maria's theme.
Yeah.
Bloody Tears is the
that and that became Richter's theme.
Okay.
Not Clock Tower, not Clock Tower, not Castle Keep. The area where you fight the Minotaurs, Dark Void. I'm trying to remember the name of it.
Hey, honorable mention to this series. Oh, this isn't the original case. Soul Calibur.
Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah. Well,
Soul Calibur.
To be fair, my favorite Soul Caliburs. I've played all the Soul Caliburs except for like one. My favorite one is Soul Calibur 2.
Yeah, 2.
Soul Calibur 2 had the best soundtrack in my
one.
opinion. Personally.
Yeah.
It is not because Link was
soundtrack
on.
They had the best soundtrack and the best characters. Let's be true.
Every time the guy talked at the beginning, you knew it was about to be a real fight.
Yeah.
Two souls step up to the all right, we're about to get it. Yeah.
There was another
honorable mention too to Xenogears, since we were talking about Xenoblade.
You know what? That's it. Rayman.
Ooh,
Rayman, especially the one Rayman Legends. That soundtrack, especially when you do the music levels, like when they did Eye of the Tiger and Black Betty and all that. I'm like, bro, I will give Ubisoft that on Rayman Legends. They really went all out as
Yes, they
far as that
did.
music is concerned.
Oh
And
yeah,
I'm happy that they actually did that.
he got it right. It's the Coliseum. I couldn't remember because the name of the song is "Wandering Ghosts." That was it. It's Coliseum. He
Oh,
got it.
okay.
I think I have another one. Hold on. It's funny because I got like my whole like video game listening to like saved on YouTube. You know we all do. I
Yeah,
ain't doing-
yeah.
You got your go-tos. Let me see, where is it at? Because there's like uh video game music. Here we go. Okay, so we said Sonic. Yo. Okay, so if you guys have ever played this, Andre, I feel like you probably have. There was a game for the OG Game Boy, but I didn't play it until it was on Game Boy Color. It was a little game called Power Quest. Where you,
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
yeah, where you
I
had,
haven't played the original game, but I played the Streets of Rage remake mod that used all of the original sounds from
oh
that
my
game.
gosh, oh my goodness, that soundtrack for a 8-bit soundtrack, and shout outs to Mario Golf too, from Game Boy Color as well.
Dark Void,
Though,
nobody's skipping Metroid. We just didn't get around to it. Again, it's a whole lot.
yeah,
Yeah,
there's so many games,
Super
man.
Metroid is still one of the best soundtracks for the
yeah.
SNES. And
Hmm.
not gonna
I
lie.
would say though, in my opinion, while I love the series, I think they have the weakest of the Metroid game soundtracks is the Prime series. I love
Yeah.
the series. I just think the
Hmm.
soundtrack is kind of weak because
Uh,
it just it don't hit me the same as like Dread and Other M and
hmm.
Super Metroid does. It don't hit me like that. The Prime series just don't. I don't know what it is. It's just like when I hear it, I'm just like, okay, it's they trying to be atmospheric, but it just don't hit me like the other ones do.
Yeah.
I just don't know why. But yeah, Metroid has some banging music in it. Yeah, I mean, you there because there are a couple of there are a couple of guys that do game music that I actually enjoy. They do like the was it DJ Cutman does those chill soundtracks. He has one for Zelda, he has one for Metroid, right? A guy named Rosen, I think it's Rozen. He has one
Hmm.
for Zelda called Sins of Hyrule. That's a good album where he just takes like tracks and just remixes them. There's a lot of good music that like fans have done like remixes of stuff that are actually not bad. So um and it's stuff that's actually inspired by. I haven't brought up Splatoon just because like Splatoon is
Wacky.
that's kind of weird.
Yeah. Shout outs to
It's
Kind
MVC
of weird.
too.
Marvel's
Marvel versus,
Capcom too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Love the
I
jazz
would.
music in there.
It was good, but I don't feel like that music really fit the game. At least not all of it. It was
No.
good music. It just didn't really fit some of the scenes they stuck it to. But
I like the selection scene. That's what gets me. Gonna take you for a ride. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
now if we talking all the prior games, all the characters had their own entrance theme, and then they jump in the screen and their theme play, and you get hyped up to their theme. Yeah, I
hmm.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Especially X-Men versus Street Fighter when Storm jumps in and her
Yes.
theme kicks in.
Dude, that's one game I really wish they would like that would that whoever has that license to would just be like, look, we're just gonna let Daemu up the res a little bit,
Hmm.
cell shade it, and sell it.
Hmm.
Because I think that game would make a killing.
That's more you got to talk to Disney. I mean, Capcom was the one
Disney,
that originally made it, but you
look,
got to talk to Disney.
I don't think Disney would have a problem. Disney like money.
Right. If it's
Disney ain't
anybody,
Capcom.
Disney,
Disney ain't
Disney
allergic to
down.
money.
Right.
Disney's not allergic to money. Especially with them trying to ease the X-Men into the MCU. Perfect time to do it. If I'm Disney, I'm looking at the X-Men arcade game. I'm looking at X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and I'm like, how do we get these games out right in time to get people back hyped? Because that's the whole reason why X-Men 97 is coming. The animated
Mhm.
X-Men, that's why the whole reason why it's coming. Because they're like, we one way or another, we gonna get y'all money one way. So I can see Disney being like I said, Capcom is allergic to money. I don't understand. I will never understand Capcom's business model because they have over 200 licenses that they own and make 3 games.
Right.
Resident Evil, Monster Hunter, and what's the last? Street Fighter.
Street Fighter.
That's it.
Yeah, they can't even show love to Mega Man. That's over.
Mega Man 11 had a good soundtrack too. That's sad. That's the sad thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
You know what, Trinell? You're absolutely right. Arc System works. Yeah, they can do it. They can do it. I mean, I can see Disney saying yes. Like, yes, bring those back, put those out on everybody's digital stores. Because you're not getting a physical copy of X-Men the arcade game. No, you're not. Don't even ask. So just limited run can do it, but don't even ask. But yeah, digital store fronts, yeah. Let them run, especially if you're trying to familiarize people with the product. That go on and put them out there and let the gamers get a hold to it. Just for whatever reason, do not release what was it? The what's Spider-Man game that was horrible on the SNES? Was it? No, it wasn't Maximum Carnage. What was this Spider-Man game that sucked?
Is it the one after Maximum?
It had to be after Maximum Carnage.
You talking about Separation Anxiety?
I think it is. Yeah, that was
Separation Anxiety used the same battle system as Maximum Carnage.
Yeah, but the game
it just had different art assets.
Yeah, and the game
and it was short as hell.
And the game sucked.
Is it Lethal Foes?
I don't know if it's that one.
I don't think that don't sound right. But anyway, yeah, because Paint the Town Red is probably one of my favorite beat 'em up Marvel games. Paint the Town Red, I love that. Maximum Carnage. They had the red cartridge for it. Memories. But
I still got mine.
Yeah, and that one had a pretty decent soundtrack on it too. It had a pretty decent one, to be fair. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode of the podcast. Thank you for everybody joining the chat. We really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for reminding us of some good music, some good soundtracks. Kind of wish they would sell them over here in the States, but that's
play Asia, I guess.
Here nor there. Sandstorm, anything you want to pimp out?
Yeah, so was yesterday Saturday? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
So yesterday, we played a game on the channel of Most Anticipated. We did Jay and I and co-host Trey Vito played Most Anticipated Movies of 2022 and 2023. If you hadn't checked that out, go ahead and check that out. We had a whole lot of fun with that, which nobody won definitively. I think it was 2 winners. So that was interesting. Also, we're still doing our 300 subscriber giveaway. So go to my Twitter, Sandstorm McD, and throw in your entries. That will be on the 14th or 15th. So you have a couple more weeks to throw out your entries for a chance to win $30 towards the Nintendo eShop. And I think that's it. Oh, Tuesdays is our I got mine. So we're gonna play a game. I haven't decided whether that's gonna be Lego City Undercover or Lego Marvel Heroes, which I may even put Baby Sandstorm on that because that is our asymmetric game. Because Wii U can do that, can do what everybody else don't. So yeah. And then on Saturday is our Stormcast. Other than that, that's all we got.
All right, Andre.
Well, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot that released for my channel, but I did have my Silent Play Sunday videos, both of those fitting in line with the I Got Mine. And first one was Yoshi's Woolly World, just a couple of levels out of it. And the second one is about an hour to I think it's about an hour, 20 minutes of my favorite RTS, which I mentioned earlier, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliper, because that is a great game with a great soundtrack and a great story with multiple paths in it. And I think that more people should play it. And if you got a Wii U and you have not purchased it off of the eShop for the virtual console, do so, because it may be your only opportunity to get it.
Yes, sir.
Well, for a reasonable price. Let's leave it at
It's,
that.
it's $10 because you try to get it physical, you're looking at like 60, 70, 80, 100.
In some cases 250, but we're not talking
Yeah.
about that. Okay, so for me, if you missed the first part of it, me and Vicky and a good friend of ours, Youngles, did our fresh take for Moon Knight episode 1 as well as Halo episodes 1 and 2. So our fresh takes on Sunday are going to be Moon Knight Halo combos. So just going forward, because they're releasing those at pretty much the same time. So we'll just do those on Sundays. So check that out once you have a chance. It does go a little long. I do apologize for that, but yeah, we had a good discussion going, so I didn't want to break it up. So check that out. I did put some I Got Mine live streams. Have one on Friday for Xenoblade Chronicles X, as well as one I just did before this podcast with the character that most people said was horribly underdressed when the game released in 2015. Goetia on Xenoblade Chronicles X. I don't know why people hated Goetia. I just wanted to beat her because she was evil,
Right.
and
I wasn't paying
she
attention
had
down low.
and the fact that the first time I ever played that game, she like beat me 3 times straight. I couldn't figure out how to take her out. But this time I beat her on the first go, so I was actually proud of myself this time. I was proud of myself.
Them
I didn't have to
tentacles,
cheat.
man.
Yeah.
Them
So,
tentacles.
but yeah, please check that out. I am going to be doing gameplay of Last Story. I got my sensor bar situation taken care of, so I plan on playing Last Story, streaming that a little bit next week, because that's another game that I think should get some HD remaster love or something like that, because that game was awesome on the Wii. And I'm gonna try, and next week I'm gonna try to see if I can get this Smash Brothers Brawl Subspace Emissary run going, because I want to show y'all Subspace Emissary versus World of Light and what you're missing. Because as much as World of Light is okay, World of Light is obviously just event mode. That's it.
Right.
That's all it is, and that's not a story mode. Subspace Emissary is an actual story mode. So I'm gonna start playing that next week as well. So be on the lookout on the channel for that. I'm probably gonna try to do that on Tuesday or Thursday, but we'll see. But as always, thank you guys for watching and supporting the channel. We will be back next week with episode 100. So please join us then, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always. Also, like the scrolling thing at the bottom says, if you like our stuff, please like, share, subscribe, follow. If you're watching us on Twitch, follow us over there. Like, share, all the other good stuff. Tell your friends, family about it, all the other good stuff. So we will see you guys next Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.
Peace, everybody.